Hi friends, good morning all of you and welcome back to today's session 7. The last classes we have discussed about elasticities, elasticities and different types. We have studied about three types of elasticities: price elasticity, income elasticity and cross elasticity. Among these three types of elasticity, we had discussed about price elasticity. We have studied about price elasticity and its five kinds, different kinds of price elasticity. We know that the different values of price elasticity, that range or value lies between 0 to infinity. We have studied the perfectly elastic demand, perfectly inelastic, elastic, inelastic and unitary elastic. These are the five different types of price elasticity that we have discussed in the previous classes. Today we are going to study about the factors that affecting the price elasticity of demand. Factors affecting the price elasticity of demand. Previous lesson we have studied about the factors that affecting the demand of the commodity. Similarly, in this chapter we may discuss a few factors that affect the price elasticity of demand. The first and the most important determinant of the price elasticity of demand is availability of close substitutes. Availability of close substitutes. The first point is availability of close substitutes. We have studied about close substitutes. What are close substitutes? Tea and coffee are considered as close substitutes. Here, what type of elasticity that we will see in these determinants, and how does this factor affect the price elasticity? Price elasticity we have just studied about elastic and inelastic in nature. In the elastic demand, we have studied percentage change in quantity demanded is more than the percentage change in price. Whereas in inelastic demand, we discussed about the quantity demanded of a commodity remains same at various levels of prices, which means we have seen the demand curve is parallel to y-axis, that never changes or remain same at different level of prices. In that cases, all these determinants factors may give us or explain some of the relations including either elastic or inelastic. For example, if we see that the first factor, availability of close substitutes, we come to know that if a commodity has many close substitutes, if one commodity has many close substitutes, its demand is likely to be elastic in nature. Why it is elastic in nature? Because that particular commodity has many substitutes. The consumer can easily changes his consumption pattern from one commodity to the another commodity as there are many substitutes available in the market, and therefore he or she is able to get the proper satisfaction, and therefore we can say the elasticity is elastic in nature. So one point you have to remember that the substitute, the goods which have more cross substitutes may be elastic in nature. And on the other side, if we say that the commodity or the good has no or weak substitutes, very less substitutes, then the demand for it would be inelastic in nature. Why it is inelastic? If there is a commodity has weak substitutes or there is no such substitutes, then the consumer is compelled to use those commodity at its price. There he never mind what the price is, because he could not find a proper substitutes for that commodity. Therefore, those commodity may have inelastic in nature. Okay, so this is the first point, availability of cross substitutes. Okay, the commodity which have more substitutes may have elastic in nature. The commodity may have very less or weak substitutes may have inelastic in nature, and that is the cases of availability of substitutes. And the next point is that nature of the commodity. Nature of the commodity. What about the nature of the commodity? Another important factor that determine the price elasticity, that is nature of the commodity. What do we mean by nature of the commodity? According to the nature of the commodity, we can classify it into three groups like necessities, comforts and luxuries. Okay, in the case of necessities, what are necessities? Necessities are the goods that we can't avoid or which is very essential for the day-to-day life. In order to exist, okay, on the earth we are in need of such necessities. So such necessities, such food items, they are generally inelastic in nature. Inelastic means we know that you should remember, you should keep up in the mind that inelastic demand curve. Inelastic demand curve is parallel to y-axis. The quantity demanded never changes. Whatever the price, even the high prices or the low prices, the quantity demanded will be same. So in the case of necessities, according to the nature of the commodity, the elasticity is inelastic in nature. Because these goods are essential to the life. These goods are essential to our life, and therefore we cannot avoid such commodity. We must have it, and such commodities are inelastic in nature. A change in price of these necessities may have a small impact on their demand. A small impact on their demand because they are necessities. They are very essential for us. Just on the other hand, if we think about that, we can see that the comfort and luxuries. The comfort and luxurious products are not that much essential towards our life, so we can postpone. We can dispense the consumptions. We can postpone the consumption. And once we postpone the consumption, that affects the demand of the commodity. When it affects the demand of the commodity, we can say that is elastic in nature. The quantity demanded of such commodity may be more than the changes in prices, elastic in nature. So necessities, the commodities like necessities may have inelastic in nature. The commodities like other than necessities, comforts and luxuries have elastic in nature as the consumer can postpone their consumption. And therefore in this way two types of commodities, okay, or three types of commodities are affecting the demand, price elasticity of demand. Okay, again, if you say that in the consumption of any of such commodities like a luxurious commodity, okay, summer season, we are in need of AC. Okay, so purchasing air condition can be postponed when there is a tremendous increase in prices. The consumer can easily postpone, and therefore the demand of such commodity is affected in elastic way, and that is what elastic in nature. Clear? So we have discussed 2 points, availability and nature of the commodity. Now the third point is that proportion of income spent. Proportion of income spent. What according to what proportion the income spent? It says that smaller is the percentage of income spent on commodity, smaller will be the elasticity. Here in the case of the same things, we can say the inexpensive goods like soap, matches salt. In that cases, smaller is the income spent. Smaller is the income spent on the commodities, such commodities on salt, on sugar. Then the elasticity will be smaller, and vice versa. So in that cases, this will not affect the demand as the price increase or decrease. So we have studied that essential commodity, or the commodity like salt or commodity like matchbox may not affect, or the consumer may not demand highly when the price is too high or when the price is too low. So when there is an increase or decrease in price, this commodity may not be affecting that much. So we can say that is one of its relation. Other cases, if we say the commodity other than these commodities, other than these inexpensive goods like demand for clothes, demand for TV, or demand for refrigerators, furnitures, etc. Okay, these are some of other commodities likely to be elastic in nature. And this is because the consumer can postpone, or he or she can spend the income, large part of his income for such commodity, because we know that we may not spend more of income towards purchasing those inexpensive goods after a particular level, and therefore we can say the extra income what is left with us is used to purchase more of another commodity. Therefore the elasticity is elastic in nature, and the necessities are inelastics. Now another point, we can see that the number of uses of the commodity, proportion of income spent we have completed, and let us see what is written is time factor. Okay, time factor. What is time factor? Time factor, according to the time, okay, we need to remember two types of time. These two types of time is long time and short time. What about the long time and short time? What is long time and what is short time? Time factor. Short time is a period, it's a time, it's a duration where producers are unable to produce the commodity and offer for sale. Within a short period of time, producers cannot produce the commodity what is demanded in the market. Whereas in the long time, the long period, they have sufficient enough time to change the production pattern, therefore they can change the quantity produced, and those commodity can be offered in the market for sale. So this is the difference. In that short time, we may see inelastic in nature. Inelastic in nature because they are not getting sufficient time to make the substitutes of those commodities. So we are compelled to purchase those commodity during that situation in the short period. Whereas in the long term, they have sufficient enough time. Therefore, the consumers can easily adjust their demand. They can postpone, they can adjust according to their income level, according to their demand, they can change the consumption pattern. And this is what is the point, time factor. And next we can say the number of uses of the commodity. The number of uses of the commodity. You can write the another point is the number of uses of the commodity. Uses of the commodity. The number of uses of the commodity. What we mean by the number of uses of the commodity? The greater is the use to which the consumer, to which the commodity can be put to, is greater will be the price elasticity. So in that cases we can take a good examples of that electricity. In the case of electricity, the number of use. So if the electricity cost per unit cost is very less, surely, definitely everyone may use electricity for many purposes. because the price per unit of consumption charge is very low, which is easily variable, and therefore we use so many purpose of that. Just opposite, if the price of electricity per unit increases, we may control the consumption of electricity according to the most important thing. So similarly, the necessities and luxuries, like consumer can adjust according to their necessity. They can change the demand from one commodity to the another commodity. In that cases, the consumer is aware. Okay, consumer must be aware and at what prices he or she can purchase that commodity, and the preference is given to which of the items according to him. Is this item has given more preference, so therefore I need to take my efforts to get those commodity in the beginning, and so that he can make the changes elastic in nature. Whereas in certain situation, when price is more high, only for limited purpose, inelastic in nature. The most important things. Clear? And the next point we will see that postponement of consumption. The sixth point is postponement of consumption. Postponement of consumption. What is mean by postponement of consumption? How can we postpone our consumption? When can we postpone our consumption? What does it mean, postpone? Price elasticity, you keep in mind that one of the determinants of price elasticity is postponement of consumption. Okay, in postponement of consumption, the common behavior of a consumer. What is the common behavior of a consumer is, in the general cases, at very high prices as well as at very low prices, the elasticity will be inelastic in nature. How it can be inelastic at that time? Okay, if a commodity what is demanded by a consumer having the high range of prices, if one commodity has very high prices, it may not be demanded by everyone or each of us because we are not able to purchase that. So such commodities are mainly for the rich people. Rich people only demanded for that. Therefore, it is elastic in nature. And again in the very low prices. Very low prices, if the prices, okay, it's a common phenomenon that when price of the commodity falls, consumer increases the quantity demanded of the same commodity. But in the case of inexpensive goods, they may not be increasing the quantity demanded because these are limited in nature. We can use this commodity in a limited way. And in that cases, at very high prices as well as very low prices, the elasticity will be inelastic in nature. I think that way. One cases only for rich people. The goods are demanded by rich people only. In another lower cases, okay, it is demanded a particular level. Because salt, in the case of salt or in the case of sugar, we have come to know that a small quantity, a particular amount of quantity is demanded at every time. Therefore, inelastic in nature. And in between there is one more price, that is moderate price. Moderate price, we can say elastic in nature. Elastic in nature. Because price, what if the price rises? Moderate price lies within a particular range. In that range, consumer can purchase. Okay, the consumer can purchase, consumer can demand more of its commodity in a moderate prices, which is generally accepted by everybody, which is generally every consumer can bear the prices, and therefore the demand will be elastic in nature. Clear? And the last point we can say, habits of the consumer. Habits of the consumer. What is mean by habit of the consumer? Habit of the consumer. I am habituated to use any particular commodity. If I am a smoker, okay, if suppose the consumer is habituated to use a cigarette, using cigarette, and for him or for such people, they may not bother about the price of this commodity. Okay, whatever the prices, they may continue the consumption because they are habituated to use that commodity. Their habit is continuously use the things. A boozer, a drunkard. Okay, one who continuously uses this alcohol, one who is addicted to either chain smoker or a drunkard. Such people who is addicted to consume the commodity that provides more and more utility. We must use, because we are rational in nature. We utilize the commodity to maximize the satisfaction. Therefore, in such cases, we come to know that those commodities, okay, the demand for such commodities will be usually inelastic in nature. Okay, inelastic in nature. Keep in mind that if the consumer are habitual of consuming some commodities, they will continue the consumption. These commodities even at a higher level of prices. Okay, higher level of prices. So these are the some of the important determinants of price elasticity of demand. So we can you can note all these 7 points. Okay, that comes under factors affecting price elasticity of demand. You can just note it down. Okay, I think you have noted. So this is about price elasticity and the factors affecting price elasticity. Now, as I told you that there are 3 types of elasticities. What are those? Price elasticity of demand, income elasticity of demand, and cross elasticity of demand. The first one we have completed, price elasticity. Okay, now we come to the second types of elasticities, that is income elasticity of demand. So you can just note it down. Income elasticity of demand. Second type, 3 categories, and second type is income elasticities. Income elasticity of demand. What is mean by income elasticity of demand? Elasticity of demand, we have studied the degree and responsiveness. Okay, the rate of change degree. So in the same cases, income elasticity of demand we can define as, okay, the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded of a commodity to change in income of the consumer. Degree and responsiveness of quantity demanded of a commodity to change in income of the consumer. Change in income of the consumer. Okay, the common behavior of a consumer is when income changes, the consumption pattern also changes. Okay, income elasticity of demand can be measured with the help of a formula. Okay, we have seen the formula in that proportionate method. Percentage change in quantity demanded upon percentage change in price. Similarly, here income elasticity of demand we can calculate by using the formula, that is income elasticity. We write EY, elasticity, and Y for income. income elasticity of demand, the formula is percentage change in, you can note it down, percentage change in quantity demanded upon percentage change in income. Why? This is the formula that we use for calculating the income elasticity of demand. Here we are not going to study the calculation of income elasticity because it is out of syllabus. We will study elasticity only in proportionate method, okay, or percentage method. So here we study what is meant by income elasticity. Okay, we have studied it, and now we will see the types of income elasticity. So we can write the next heading is types. What are the types? We have three important types here, that is positive income elasticity, negative income elasticity, and zero income elasticity. We can write that the types are three. Okay. Positive income elasticity. Okay. Then second one is negative income elasticity, and third one is zero income elasticity. Positive income elasticity. What is meant by positive income elasticity? Positive income elasticity, we can classify income elasticity into three categories under positive income elasticity. Positive income elasticity means, what does it mean? It means that when the increase in the income of the consumer, when the increase in income of the consumer, the amount purchased of a commodity increases. That's all, and vice versa. When income of the commodity, when income of the consumer increases, then the quantity demanded of that commodity also increases, and vice versa. This is what is income elasticity of demand, or positive income elasticity. Under positive income elasticity, we can classify, or we can categorize three types. What are the three types? Income elastic, income inelastic, and unitary income. Income elastic, income inelastic, and unitary. Unitary elastic. Positive income elasticity is when the increase in income of the consumer, the amount purchased of a commodity increases. And income elasticity, positive income elasticity can be three categories: income elastic, income inelastic, and unitary elastic. Income elastic is what? Quantity demanded of a commodity is greater than percentage change in income. Income elastic means quantity demanded of the commodity is greater than percentage change in income. That is elastic in nature. Whereas income inelastic, quantity demanded of the commodity is less than percentage change in income. Unitary elastic is there is no such changes. Quantity demanded of a commodity is equals to the percentage change in income. In unitary way. So these are the three different categories of income, positive income elasticity, that is income elastic, income inelastic, unitary inelastic. Income elastic is quantity demanded is greater than percentage change in income. Income inelastic, quantity demand of commodity is less than the percentage change of income, and another one is they are equal to, the percentage change in income is equal to quantity demand of the commodity is unitary elastic. Okay, so we can write here it is greater than income, it is less than income, and this is unitary equals to income. This is in that case of 3. And the second types of income elasticity, that is negative income elasticity. What is mean by negative income elasticity of demand? Income elasticity of demand is said to be negative when an increase in income of the consumer leads to a fall in the amount purchase of a commodity. An increase in the income leads to fall in purchase of a commodity. What does it mean? When can we demand less when my income increases? It is in the case of inferior commodities. We know, we have studied about a consumer is ready to change his consumption nature from inferior to superior. When his income level increases, consumer will easily shift over the consumption from wheat to rice, inferior to the superior. In that cases, we can say increase in income leads to decrease, increase in or changes in the demand of another commodity of its substitutes, means inferior to superior. This is what is negative income elasticity of demand. I think you are clear. Okay, negative. And third one is zero income elasticity of demand. What is zero income elasticity? Zero income elasticity of demand is said to be when it's an exceptional cases. First of all, you should remember zero elasticity is an exceptional cases. Zero elasticity of demand of a good implies a rise in income. A rise in income leaves quantity demanded unchanged. Quantity demanded and exceptional cases in that. Exceptional cases, the quantity never changes. Okay. Even the price is too high or if the price is too low, the quantity demanded of that commodity never changes. In that case, it is zero income elasticity. It's an exceptional cases. In the case of inexpensive goods like salt, we discussed many times. So these are the three types of income elasticity: positive, negative, and zero income elasticity. Positive, we have three categories: income elastic, income inelastic, unitary elastic. Negative and zero. Income elastic is greater than income and inelastic is less than income and equals to income. Okay, and the another this is in that cases. And another types of elasticity that we will study, cross elasticity of demand. So we have studied two types of elasticities: price elasticity and income elasticity. Okay, price elasticity we have discussed about 5 various categories of elasticities. Okay, 0 to infinity. 0 to infinity. 0 greater than 1, less than 1, equals to 1, and infinity. And the second type is income elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand, we have 3 types: positive, negative, and zero. Positive, under positive income elasticity, we have 3 categories. These are the 3, and negative, then zero. Now we move to the last types of elasticity, that is cross elasticity. Cross elasticity. The third categories or types of elasticity is cross elasticity. What is mean by cross elasticity of demand? Cross elasticity of demand is, what does it mean? That it is the degree and percentage change in quantity demanded of a commodity with respect to the change in its price of its related commodity. Okay, change in its price to the related commodity. This cross elasticity of demand, it also we can calculate by using a formula. Okay, this is not in our syllabus. Therefore, we can directly move to the types of cross elasticity of demand. Okay, types of cross elasticity. Types. What are the types? Here we can see three types of elasticity, similar to the income elasticity, or under that three types: positive, negative, zero. Here also we will see same types under cross elasticity, that is positive cross elasticity, negative cross elasticity, and zero cross elasticity. You can also write three types here. Positive cross elasticity, negative cross elasticity, and zero cross elasticity. Three types of cross elasticity of demand. What are those? First one is positive cross elasticity. What is meant by positive cross elasticity? Positive cross elasticity, in that cases, keep in mind that in the case of substitute goods, it says that when an increase in price of X commodity leads to a decrease in the demand of Y commodity. It is in the case of substitute goods. I have told you substitute goods. Substitute goods, tea and coffee. Tea and coffee, what type of cross elasticity of demand we could see there? Just imagine, we can think that X and Y commodity. These are the two commodities, X and Y. So positive cross elasticity says that, okay, when increase in price of one commodity. Suppose if the price of X commodity increases, or in case of X we can see tea and Y we can see coffee. So if price of X increases, that means if price of tea increases, what about the demand of coffee? If price of X commodity increases, then that leads to an increase in the demand for another commodity. Cross elasticity, positive cross elasticity of demand. When price of tea increases, demand of coffee increase. When price of X increases, demand of Y increases. So this is happening only in the case of substitute goods, tea and coffee. Is that clear? Are you getting me? So this is what positive cross elasticity, and vice versa. This the demand, also you remember that the price of X, increase in price of X leads to increase in the demand of Y. In the same way, the increase in price of X leads to decrease in the demand of X. So that is also a point you have noted, but in these cases you can show the relation only cross elasticity. So what the falls, whereas and vice versa, the definition, the decrease in fall, the decrease in the commodity X or T may affect decrease in the demand of other commodity. Same way. So this is what is positive cross elasticity. I think we are clear. Another type of cross elasticity is negative cross elasticity. What is meant by negative cross elasticity? Cross elasticity of demand is said to be negative when a fall in price. When a fall in price of X commodity leads to increase in demand, just opposite. Just now I told you that can be said as negative. Again you say X and Y. If one is increase in price. Increase in price of X leads to increase in demand of Y. It substitutes. Similarly, A falls in price leads to uh, uh, an increase in falls in demand of Y commodity. Is that clear? Keep in mind that is in the case of complementary goods. When a fall in price of X or Y commodity leads to an increase in the demand of Y commodity. X price falls, so here automatically we can come to know that the demand of X and the price of X falls. Okay, here in the case of Y falls, opposite case. When the price of Y falls, okay, the demand of Y increases, whereas here in the case of X may oppositely affected. That is its case of negative. Or else again I say, keep in mind that when a fall in price of Y commodity leads to an increase in the demand for X commodity, is negative elasticity of demand. So it means bread and butter in the complementary cases. In the first chapter we have discussed these things, complementary goods. Okay, car and petrol. Make sure that the same is. And the third type is zero cross elasticity. What is zero cross elasticity? It is said to be zero when a change in price of one commodity does not affect the demand for another. The change, either the change of one commodity, change in price of X or change in price of Y commodity may not affect the demand. In that cases, these goods are not complementary, these goods are not substitutes. Then what about these are, they don't have any relation, they are not at all related goods. They are not related goods, that is the reason. In that case, we can say tea and car. Tea and car, what relation they have? The price of tea, increase in price of tea, is it affect the demand of car? Never. Because these goods are not related. These goods are not related. Okay, they are not related each other. Therefore, it is zero cross elasticity of demand. Or else a refrigerator with a TV set, no relation at all. Okay, they may not affect anything. Okay, one of the commodities prices either increase or decrease may not affect the demand of the other commodity as they are not related to each other. This is the reason. So in that cases, we can say zero cross elasticity, never affect, right? Because they are not related commodities. So in the first cases, it is what type of commodity? We can say substitutes commodities. These are substitutes goods. These are complementary. They are not related. They are not related. In that cases, nothing affects X and Y. X is another commodity, Y is another commodity, so there is no relation. Both are in different manner. So this way, they are not related. Clear? So cross elasticity of demand we have seen types positive, negative and zero. In all these three headings are same in those income and the cross, but the definitions are different. You watch the videos many times and make it clear. Okay, things are getting more complicated as well as difficult. Okay, then we are going to touch more and more diagrams and theories, okay, with its proper explanation. So I request you to watch the classes again and again, make the notes, make sure the doubts are clarified. Okay, start writing short notes in the fair copy. Whatever the questions given after the chapter, all the very short answer you are asked to write in the fair copy. You need to write in a proper manner, in a proper way. Numerical based on proportional method, price elasticity, you need to calculate. Okay, there are unsolved numericals given in the textbook. Solve all the numericals in your fair copy. Okay, solved one you can go through, so you will get some ideas. And again, you watch the classes. Make sure that you are studying in a proper way. Okay, once this class over, you won't get the time to repeat in the school once school reopens. So this is the good time that you can sit and watch and study and revise in such a way you will be getting beneficial. Okay, so this here comes the end of this chapter 4, which has a relation with the chapter 2. So we have completed so far two chapters. One is demand and another one elasticity of demand. And in next classes we will start a new chapter, that is chapter 3. So that is also consists of number of diagrams and other theoretical side too. In a kind of hypothetical way we will discuss. But my request is to, I think everyone has textbooks with you, and read the textbooks immediately after listening the class, and underline the important points in the textbook without fail. Okay, repeat again and again so that you will be clear. Okay, then bye.